Alrighty, what is going on today, friends? We had our little get together on Thursday where we just kind of chilled and talked and jammed, and we appreciate everybody coming out for that. We had a
Chilled
good
and
time.
talked and jammed. Chilled and talked and jammed.
It
We
was
chilled, we talked, we jammed.
it was cool. We had some people come in and randomly out of nowhere from the Middle East, so that was super cool. Um,
Dubai was in the house.
Dubai was in the house for like all of 5 minutes, and they were very
Hey,
confused as what was going on. But it is what
guy
it
was
is.
there.
The guy was there. It was cool. We talked about some stuff, and so now we're back to our regularly scheduled programming. And yeah, we got some stuff to talk about this week. Some shit has gone down. More of the same, honestly, but we're gonna talk about it anyway.
Same old shit, just a different day. I forget
He
what
is
that
indeed.
rap song is.
I don't know, but that phrase "same shit, different
Oh
day"
my
has been
god.
around for a long time.
Real word that I can't say.
Let's start off with
Long.
something that I find a little bit comical. Some might even say kind of cute, but
Is it,
overall
is
pretty
it the
dumb.
COVID dogs?
Yeah, it's the COVID
COVID
docs.
dogs?
COVID docs.
I was listening to that on the radio. They were talking about the race, the NASCAR race. Sorry, I don't subscribe to NASCAR in Tallahassee. And they're like, we got the COVID dogs out here. Beautiful day. People are barbecuing. I'm like, wait a minute. Did he just say COVID dogs?
Run it back. You said what, sir?
What? Huh? Man, explain that one to me. And then I started doing some Google search and I'm like, I'll be a son of a bitch. They got dogs that can smell the COVID now. And they got them down at the NASCAR.
Which
Oh, those dogs could smell a COVID from a mile away. I'll tell you what,
my
boy.
man's over here just joining a nice day. Couple of natter days. Not sponsored, by the way.
Of course, if you want, hit us up. Or Natty, that's
Or
fine
natty,
too.
either one.
Yeah. I'm just out here trying to drink my Coors Light, and this dog smells the COVID on me.
It smelled. I got the COVID. Apparently,
I got
I'm
the COVID.
just. I'm just trying to. Hey, poison. I'm out here just trying to get drunk, barbecue some stuff, and watch cars go around real fast in a circle. And all of a sudden, the police roll up and tell me I gotta go because their dog smelt the COVID.
Sir, that ain't the COVID. That's just the bacon in my pocket. I apologize. I got the bacon in my pocket. You never know when you might need a little bit of bacon, you know. So
This one's for the doggos. Gotta stay strapped or get clapped, and I stay strapped with bacon. Like what, dude? Come on, man.
When I sent that to Ben, I literally sent, we're living in a goddamn simulation, and nobody can tell me any different. Nowadays, dogs can smell the COVID on you. What do you know?
And apparently, science
time.
doesn't matter because I don't know, through however many studies since the entirety of this shit's been going on, it's been said that UV light kills COVID essentially on contact. So even if you are outside, no mask, social distance apart, and you're breathing or coughing or whatever, it leaves your orifice and dies. Nobody's getting sick outside of a NASCAR race.
Did you see that now they're saying, what's the exact word that I'm looking for? Like if I touch a table and then you touch a table, I can't give you COVID. Like I have to.
They've changed the amount of time it lives on surfaces, right?
Yeah, surface tracing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's very minimal. I basically have to like sneeze on the table and then you have to like wipe your hand on where I sneezed or like directly coughed. Which
Look,
has been, if you know anything about virus transmission, that's basically very common sense.
that's been common for forever, and you should probably not just be touching random things like that anyway. And don't lick, public rail transportation handrails or phone booths or anything like that.
Tables.
Maybe don't put your face on a public table, and like always, frequently wash your hands with soap and water. And if you can't find soap and water, sanitize.
Yeah.
But not to the frequency that you get dry hands, because that's excessive.
Yeah, one of the guys I golfed with today is a pilot, and they're like, regulations are changing all the time about sanitation, and his company has come out and said, yeah, we don't have to like sanitize like we have been in between flights because CDC has basically said that touching the same surface will not give you COVID.
Yeah.
So, what do you know?
I just think it's funny that we have dogs out there now, and they're just gonna like go up to me. People are gonna be like, "Well, the dog says you got COVID. You got to leave." I would be like, "Sir,
no, that's the Molly in my pocket. Sorry, dog. My bad.
Are you sure that's a COVID dog or is it a drug dog? Because I am strapped up with weed right now."
How does he know? I walk in and the dog's like, "Hey, he's got weed." I'm like, "No, sorry, COVID. Gotta go home. That's not an illegal substance."
So,
Speaking of weed, New York. Hey, legalized marijuana. And not that I would solicit this service for myself, the weed, maybe if it was legal, I don't break the law. But they're not prosecuting prostitution anymore.
yeah, I saw that recently that they're not prosecuting prostitutes anymore.
So now you can get high and hire a hooker legally in New York.
That's crazy. New Jersey legalized weed not too long ago, and now that's gone from like a felony offense for so many ounces or pounds or whatever the weight is in your possession to now it's just a misdemeanor.
Next step.
But is there blackjack? Oh, for sure. The casinos are still rocking up there.
Oh yeah. Next step is if you're in jail on a weed charge, you should go home.
You should probably just get to walk out the door.
Yeah, if you didn't hurt anybody, kill anybody, harm anybody.
You just had some weed in your pocket and the feds said, go to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You should be able to be like, I'm going to leave here, collect my $200 and my belongings and go about my day.
Which I think the number of people that are behind bars in New York for drug charges is over 90% people of color.
Jesus.
So yeah, that'd be a good first step, to like setting racial inequality, towards
balancing the scales
direction, even more towards the right direction. I'm not saying it's in the wrong direction. But that'd be nice. That'd be cool.
It would be cool.
Jesus,
he heard his name. What's up?
¿Cómo estás, compadre?
I said that thing about the quote from Bender. Oh yeah, I haven't watched Futurama in forever.
I'm not familiar. Do you know what the quote is?
Yeah, there's a quote. He's talking about like drugs and hookers, and then Bender's like, "Is there blackjack?" So yeah.
I know what you're talking about now.
So Trump, what's up, Coke? So Trump didn't kill everyone for not doing a full pandemic shutdown.
Wait, what?
What do you mean? Explain more. Type and explain yourself.
I love you, buddy. We are in a group chat with a couple of our other friends, and there's been a couple things he sent to our group chat this week, and it's like in jest.
Yeah.
Funny, but I have to reread them a couple times. I'm like, what are you saying, dude?
I'm doing all right. Good to hear, Jesus. Good to hear. But yeah, anyway, so getting back to what we were talking about, COVID dogs. So now you're going to need a vaccine passport to go places, and you're going to be...
No, they've backed off the
Oh, did they? Thank God. Well, some places. They're really trying to push in the military, everybody getting vaccinated, because now there's some bases that if you go on like a TDY 2 and stuff, like a temporary duty or whatever to some bases or something. If you're not vaccinated, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks and then you can go about your business. But if you're vaccinated, then you don't have to. And there's there's other travel restrictions, and some countries are not allowing people to come in if they're not vaccinated and all this other stuff. And I'm like, can we just chill? Like, stop trying to force me to get the vaccine. I'm good, bro. I'm good. Like until the military comes to me and goes, now it's mandatory. Like all the other vaccines you've gotten, you have to get it. I'm good, Chief.
Coke was saying that Trump didn't kill everyone for not doing a full pandemic shutdown, in the sense that it can't be contact of tables, rails, so on and so forth.
Sorry, I'm dyslexic.
You know who did kill people? Andrew Cuomo.
While he also tried to solicit sex from his secretaries. And a bunch of other
solicit sex. He just kissed him on the mouth during meetings.
And tried to get them to play strip poker with him. Seems like a real stand-up guy.
You want to move up in the world, girl? I don't know. Give me a kiss on the mouth, eh? Yeah.
Kiss my mouth, and I'll make sure you get whatever you want. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
What else is new? Those old
Fucking
slimy
creepy old white dudes. What?
scumbags. Yeah. Vote for Spike Cohen.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
I've been thinking about it. I'm
Indeed.
gonna reach out to Spike's dude again here in the next couple months and see if I can get him back on the books.
That sounds like a good idea.
I'm still working on my pastor friend, but he's real busy on Sundays.
I get it. It's all good.
And if Jesus ever wants to come on,
Yeah, Jesus, come on, man. Open invite, Jesus. But yeah, anyway, so now there's another cog in the machine of COVID precautions, and we have COVID dogs that are gonna sniff you out. So now, when you go to a thing, you don't know if the dogs are sniffing for COVID or if they're sniffing for weapons. Who knows? Or drugs. Who knows? Maybe they'll have them at the airport now, so you're going to be going about your business. The dog's going to sniff you out, and you'll be like, "Excuse me, I am an upright citizen. I do not have drugs or weapons on me." They're like, "Yeah, it's COVID, bro." And you're like, "Wait, what?" I feel fine.
Yeah. I could tell you some stories about drug dogs that made my hands real clammy, but
So.
I'm not going to incriminate myself.
Yeah, don't plead the fifth on that one. And moving on. Wait, did y'all ask me something? Sorry, we said that you have an open invitation to come on here whenever you stop being a little scaredy cat, Jesus.
That poison brings up a good question, because I thought about this also. How on earth do you train a dog to sniff for COVID?
That's a good question. Maybe we could get an animal trainer on here and be like, "Excuse me, sir. I have multiple questions about how you get an animal to sniff for." I mean, dogs can detect like cancer and stuff, so
yeah.
I don't know, man.
You always see those like videos or like stories of like a cat at like a hospice care situation who like goes into the room of the person who's like gonna die next, or like you always hear about those weird stories. Animals know a shitload more than we do.
No, for sure.
So dogs are smarter than I think my own self. So I'm not doubting them, but I would be interested to know how a dog could do that. Like, what exactly are they sniffing for? Like a fever, or I don't know.
I don't know. I'm very curious. I don't know what they're sniffing for, but it's interesting. Maybe we'll have to do some more research and get back to y'all on that.
Go to the NASCAR.
Go to the NASCAR. Figure it out. Get it firsthand.
Pass the COVID dog.
I did download Zoom to test it out. Doesn't seem complicated. Can't today. Prepping to watch the Oscars, but maybe in the near future. W, let's go.
Oh, the Oscars is tonight.
I don't care.
I've been boycotting the
just
Oscars.
Don't care.
Ever since that stupid fucking movie about that girl that fell in love with the stupid mermaid won Best Picture over 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
I don't what?
It was like 2 years ago. What was the name of that movie? I can't remember. I'm blocking it out because it was so dumb. It was 2 years ago. Well, on this day, I was like, instead of watching the Oscars tonight, I'm gonna watch one of the movies that's up for Best Picture. And we chose 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which is a fantastic fucking movie. If you've never seen it, go watch it. But it was like, I always want to call it Water World.
Shape of Water was...
Shape of Water, yes. I love you, Jesus. That movie was fucking stupid. And it wasn't really that stupid. I just am pissed because it won Best Picture over 3 billboards, which is like, to this day, one of my favorite fucking movies. I was watching it the other day, and my girlfriend was like, "This movie looks stupid," and I was like, "I will leave you right now. Don't you fucking say that."
You want a domestic violence case? Because
Woody Harrelson, I forget the other guy's name, Best Supporting Actor. Then I forget the main actress's name. She won Best Lead Actress. Great movie.
Couldn't tell you.
Okay. I'm not attacking the deaf community. I don't even know what that... I don't even know.
Look, don't get me started. I haven't seen any of those movies.
I was going to make
I haven't seen any of those movies. I haven't watched the Oscars in years, and these past couple years with everything going on, I've just been like, why the fuck are we still having these? Nobody went to even watch the movies. I don't care.
Yeah, and then Uncut Gems got fucking completely robbed. Also, one of Sandler's best films. Anyway, I don't want to get started. I don't even know what's up for Best Picture.
I don't know.
Jesus, I will not fight you, but I will agree to disagree. Shape of Water is a dumb fucking movie. Sorry. Sorry to the deaf community and anybody else that finds offense to that, but really wasn't that bad of a movie. I'm just still obviously very salty.
Anyway, how about speaking of Alex's knee jerk reaction to that movie? Let's talk about other knee jerk reactions. So we
Give it
kind
to
of
me.
we kind of mentioned it a little bit on Thursday, but the shit that went down in Ohio over the past week. In case you guys haven't heard, a officer shot and killed a black teenager because she was wielding a knife and fixing to stab another black teenager. And everybody's all up in arms because it was a white officer who murdered a black individual. Now, let's get into the facts a little bit here, okay? And I've seen some videos on this, and I've done a little bit of research, right? So here's the lowdown. The young black girl that was shot and killed was was about to get jumped by the girls that she ended up attacking. Okay, what had happened was she went home, called the police, and in the time it took for the police to get there, and the other girls showed up. The girl that got shot and killed grabbed a knife and was out there like either actively attacking slash defending herself, whatever. Turns out also her dad was out there with her, and her dad was also wailing on these kids.
Oh, that was her dad?
Yeah, her dad was out here wailing on these kids too, and
Oh, shit.
was like trying to stomp some girl's head in as well. So,
Yeah, he kicked the shit out of her.
right. So the cops show up, and this girl with the knife has already cut this one girl that she's attacking a couple of times, from what I understand, and then was about to actually stab her when the officer then ended her life. Now, do we like the fact that the girl died? No. We said this multiple times. Neither one of us like the fact that likes it when anybody in any situation dies. It's an unfortunate situation, and that sucks. But
Especially if the girl was about to get jumped. That sucks.
yeah,
Like that
that
sucks real
sucks.
bad.
Yeah.
And
So
especially if she was the one that called the cops.
yeah,
That
so
sucks
exactly. So
even
like she
worse.
called the cops, and instead of waiting for the cops to show up and to defuse the situation, in waiting for the cops, she decided to take the situation into her own hands as well, and left her house with a weapon. And then the cops showed up. So in that situation, the cops now look at this and go, "This girl is about to stab this chick." Lethal force, like we said on Thursday a little bit, lethal force authorizes the use of lethal force, and that's what the cops are trained to do, is to protect life. The cops
That's
saw
the
that one
policy.
girl was about to get stabbed and possibly get mortally wounded, so in doing his job, he saved a life. Now, people say, well, what about tasers and all this type of shit? Okay, put yourself in the other girl's shoes, all right? Chick is coming at you with a knife, the cops show up. Are you going to want the cop to, deploy a taser and and hope to God that A, it deploys, and B, it works, or the other option is incapacitate the individual that's trying to stab you, so so you do not get stabbed, and either get critically wounded or die. Okay, so those are your options right now, and there's a lot of times that tasers get shot into people, and people through adrenaline and other means power through the taser. The electric charge is powering their body and can still finish the movement that they're doing before they end up incapacitated on the ground. All right, tasers are not 100% effective 100% of the time. Okay, and that's the thing. The cop did his job, but
Well, and to me, the taser argument, I see the taser argument. I feel the taser
no, and I see
argument.
it.
Again,
And my little brother brought it up too. He's like, "Well, why not use the taser?"
well, and we've said it before. We don't want anyone to die, right? But that's a policy argument, and you can argue policy, and I think there's room
There's
to
room to look at that and
grow.
maybe revise the policy. But
Exactly,
as it
1000%.
stands, the
Exactly.
policy is
Police
threat.
officer trained to do his job, did his job.
Exactly.
You can dislike the policy, and you can argue the policy, and you can reform the policy, and you can. There's room to grow in that argument.
The
But to
100%.
put this guy on the chopping block, to crucify this guy for doing what he's trained to do is not fair.
No, it's not fair at all.
For public celebrity athletes with 8 million followers, which I heard a really good thing on mainstream news this week from a right-wing Um, it was Ted Cruz, actually. He was being interviewed about what LeBron James said about the situation, and he said, "Before I say anything, I want to commend LeBron James for deleting that tweet." And I was like, "Wow, I haven't heard anybody say that." Like, yeah, LeBron James made a tweet that he probably shouldn't have made, but he deleted it. So, well done. Like, emotions are high. It's his home state, his hometown. It was Columbus, not Cleveland. Anyway, not that far away. I could understand.
Alex,
Excuse
chat's telling you you're a little low. See if you can boost yourself.
boost myself up a little bit.
There you go.
There we go. So I understand the knee jerk reaction, because I've had knee jerk reactions that were wrong, and LeBron deleted the tweet, which is commendable. At the same time, to continue to persecute that police officer for doing his job is just simply unfair. There's going to be an investigation. There's going to be reviewed body cam footage. Justice will prevail. We just saw it in the Derek Chauvin case, where everybody wanted to persecute him right away for a way better reason. Justice prevailed. It ended up happening the way that it should. And you can't put a guy on a judge and jury chopping block within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Especially when, among initial review, it looks like he was just doing his job.
Exactly. And I'm gonna get to what Jesus said. So he said the cop was poorly trained. Why was Kyle Rittenhouse able to walk down the street with a weapon he had just fired, and people telling the cops he just killed 2 people? So here's the flip side of this. In that situation, I feel like the cops didn't do their job to the best of their ability on that one. Now, having said that as well, the cops themselves did not witness Kyle Rittenhouse shooting those 2 people. So going off of what bystanders have said, they can't actively walk up to Kyle and just shoot him there like that. At that point, like then that just becomes an execution, and you can't do that.
Rittenhouse was the guy that shot Black Lives Matter
Protesters,
right?
Yes.
Okay, and here's the other thing. Again, I saw the same argument about that Dylan fuck. I try to repress their names. The one who shot up people in the Colorado movie theater.
Yeah.
They turned themselves in. They did not continue to pursue violent or threatening action against someone else's lives when the police got there to corral them. They turned themselves in. If this girl in Ohio, when the police got there, if she would have put down her knife and ran towards the cops, everything would have been fine.
Right. And I'm sure when the cops showed up, they more than likely told her multiple times to put the weapon down.
No, that's
or did that not happen?
Situation of that. The police arrive, and I think it's still kind of up in the air. That's one thing that if you really do, sorry, the wind's blowing.
It's all good.
Shut my door. If you want to throw blame at this officer, they're supposed to declare, it's not mandatory, but they're supposed to declare that they're about to discharge their weapon.
Yeah.
And as of right now, there's not evidence that he said, "I'm gonna shoot. Stop it, put down the knife."
Mm-hmm.
But he was acting in a way that was trying to preserve someone else's life. Right. Okay, and let's analyze the other argument. Okay, well, why don't you shoot them in the arm or the leg or whatever the case may be? You have one person back here, right? Let me see if I can do this on camera. Victim, right? Quote unquote victim, who's about to be stabbed. Other person wielding the knife right here. Police officer, right? Am I going to try to shoot an arm or a leg, or am I going to try to shoot a torso? Because that's where they're trained to shoot, center of mass. Because guess what? If I try to shoot in the arm, a much smaller target,
you're going to miss.
I miss. Guess who I'm going to fucking hit?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
On the back side, the victim. So your chances of a stray bullet striking an innocent bystander goes up significantly. So, and it's just like what we talked about in that case where the guy was stealing his baby mama's car keys. I forget his name.
Yeah, Jacob Blake.
Into the car. Yeah, Jacob Blake. Why didn't he only shoot once? Sorry, I'm getting on a tangent.
No, it's okay.
Trained to shoot until the threat is no longer perceivable.
Right. It's the same
So
thing.
again,
It's the
it's
same thing with the military. So in my experience, when we would go to the range, and this is how they drill it in for us when I was in the Marines. Okay, if someone like the enemy or perceivable threat is coming at you like that, you're taught to aim for mass because it's a bigger target and you're less likely to miss when the adrenaline is pumping. And we're also trained, and this I feel is probably close to the same with police as well. You're trained to do. It's basically three shots. Okay, so you take one shot in the pelvis, and then you move up and do two in the upper center mass. Right. If you were to shoot somebody higher in the shoulder or the leg or something, that person can still come at you because it's not going to take them out by getting trained to shoot in the pelvis first. If you shoot the pelvis, and I really this probably is not the best information to put out there, but if you shoot somebody in the pelvis, that's where the entire weight of the body is basically supported in the pelvis. So if you shoot that and shatter it, they're not going anywhere. You can't use your legs anymore because your pelvis is shattered. You can't support your own body weight. So then you shoot them there, and then you finish there. So it's the same kind of concept, right? So Jesus says that, I was saying that, this cop did not need lethal force, could have aimed at a leg and an arm, and did not need 4 shots to the body. So we kind of just covered that. An arm or a leg, it's a smaller target, and you got a bigger chance to miss. Also, that's not how they're trained to do it. Like when you pull your firearm out, you're not at that point. You're trained to use that with lethal force. It's not warning shots. It's not incapacitating shots. You have other means to incapacitate somebody, and then that's where you get into the policy discussion.
exactly. You can argue policy, you can try to reform policy, whatever you want. And yes, Jesus said the cops were called to protect her, which is fantastic. In a situation where when the police arrive, you back off, you let them do their jobs, and you don't continue to try to stab someone.
Right. See, and that's where things go sideways, and where things get, the blame is not solely on the cop, right? She went home, called the police to come help her because she was, afeared for her life and well-being, right? Fine. Now you've called the police. Stay in your home.
Exactly. That's what I was
Wait for them
just
to
gonna
show
say.
up and diffuse the situation. Or not even or. Number one, that was the best option. If you still chose to opt for option number 2, which is leave your house and confront the people that are coming to attack you, number one, terrible option, should not have chosen that. Number 2, when the police then show up, comply with what is going on, what they're telling you, and just stop what you're doing. Just stop what you're doing. And number 3, it was wrong for her. I feel it was wrong for her dad to get involved.
Well, okay.
To a degree, because her dad went overboard. Like he went out there and started wailing on teenagers.
Take the first what you just said. If someone enters your home, stay inside, right? Lock the door. If they get inside, stab the fuck out of them. Kill them.
Yeah, you're in your house and your property.
If they are trying to assault you in your own home and they have made it into your home and are trying to assault you, stab the fuck out of them. Kill them. Shoot them. Beat them with a bat. Whatever. That's on them. Then the roles are reversed and you're the one alive versus the person that you called the cops on now being the victim.
Right.
But in this situation, when you're in a driveway and there's been a call made to the dispatch, saying, hey, there's a lethal situation here. We need to get somebody out there. Cop shows up, identifies lethal situation, decides he needs to act to try to save someone. Now you put yourself in a really fucking horrible situation where you're liable to be shot and killed.
Yeah.
So why the fuck are they outside?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So number one, inside. Like the best and most appropriate course of action for her would have been to call the cops and stay in her house. But again, see, this is where like the rest of society doesn't.
And if my daughter came home, my metaphorical daughter, I don't have one, but if she came home and said, Dad, some people are coming here to jump me after school, I'd say, go up to your fucking room and lock the door. And guess where my ass would be?
Right in the front
By the
door.
front door, by the back door. Come in if you want. And I'm going to warn you, if you come in here, it's going to be bad fucking news. So don't come in here. The police are on their way. Go home. This situation turns out way different. They decide to come in. Bad day for them. My daughter's alive. I'm alive. I don't know about them.
Right.
But don't put my daughter's life or my family's life into jeopardy, and you won't put your own life into jeopardy.
Exactly. And Luther
So
poses the question here. The question was the policeman negligent? Did he follow policy? We can argue, was it right all day? And we can. And that's the other thing that we don't know at this point is, like, I guess what the policy of that local police department was. But on the whole, I would say most police departments have a policy in place that if lethal force and someone's life is about to be taken, then they have the authorization to use lethal force themselves.
I listened to the police chief being interviewed the next day because Chauvin gets convicted, and then the next day, CNN's headline is this story. Black girl with a knife shot by white officer. It's almost like CNN's like, okay, we
got another one.
Piled up for a while. We got another one on the hook. Let's get out there and really continue to push this. Well, so they interviewed the police chief, and again, we can argue policy. Policy is when lethal force is present, the police officer is validated in using lethal force. He does not have to use his taser.
Right.
He or she. He does not have to show up and try to de-escalate the situation before he withdraws his firearm. When he shows up, he identifies lethal force. Lethal force is now
authorized
for subduing the situation. And once again, when you're using lethal force, you're not trained to shoot for an arm. You're not trained to shoot for a leg. You're trained to hit the center of mass. I remember those were his words specifically. And you're trained to shoot until the threat is no longer perceivable. And that's what he did. And again, I hate it.
I hate that. Yeah, we're not. Yeah,
I wish it would have turned out differently. I wish we wouldn't be talking about it.
I honestly wish we wouldn't talk about it. But
I wish it would have turned out in a way where they would have stayed inside and the girls would have gotten assault charges or whatever. I wish it would have never even made the fucking news. But here we are.
Right. And this is the other thing that needs to change as well, is because what we're well focused on now is white officer shoots black person, basically. But we never hear about the reverse of that. Black officer shoots white man or white person. Because that happens all day, every day. Well, I'm going to say all day, every day. But that happens with just as much frequency as the reverse. But that doesn't make headlines.
No, because it's propagating a narrative. Again, we've talked about it 100,000 times. We'll talk about it again. What's the best way to stay in power? Keeps people divided. What's the best way to keep people divided? Make them hate each other.
Exactly.
How do we make them hate each other? Make one side think that the other side hates them. Color's a pretty good way to do it. So let's just take color out of all of this shit.
Yeah, it was like we don't need to put that adjective on the headline.
If a black police officer shoots a white person that's not supposed to happen, great. If a black police officer shoots a white person and he or she deserved it and put himself in that situation, great. If two white police officers pull over a fucking lieutenant in the army and pepper spray him because they're being jackasses and maybe color's on the table, then yeah, let's look into the fact that might be racially motivated. But we don't have to live in this world where everything is fucking racially motivated.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
There are racists out there.
It is. Yeah, and for sure.
I hope that the percentage of them in scale to population is very small. I don't know the number because most people who are truly racist don't go walking around every day proclaiming that they're racist because they're fucking cowards.
Right.
But if we find ourselves in a situation where we need to examine whether this is racially charged or not, yes, we need to examine that. But not every fucking thing that happens every fucking day, black, white, Chinese, Hispanic, whatever the fuck it is, we don't need to spend our time trying to find racial divisions within our country. Look at it as a person and a person.
Right. And Jesus, you do bring up a good point. We don't live in a world where things are racially motivated. We live in a country. And
I don't think that's true though, Jesus. I love you to death, man. I think that the number of times where things happen and they are racially motivated, I think is, I don't want to say minuscule, but I will say it's a lot smaller than what your Fox News or your CNN will have you believe. Because guess what Fox News is talking about right now? Turn it on right now on XM radio or on your TV. I guarantee fucking to you they're talking about the border wall, the how this governor of Arizona just came on and declared it a state of emergency or whatever because people are coming in through the border, blah, blah, blah. Racially charged, racially motivated. Turn on CNN. They're going to be saying, oh, Republicans are racist because they don't want to have Washington, D.C. as the 51st state. Like, it's the same shit on both sides, just on the opposite side of the coin. I truly believe, and this might be the optimist in myself, that majority of people out there, especially in our generation, let me just speak for our generation. We don't give a fuck what you look like, where you came from, what you believe, who you like, who you want to marry, how many kids you want to have. We don't give a
I
fuck. We
could give
just
a
want you
shit
to be
less.
happy, dude.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. If you are a boy and you like boys, great. If you're a boy and you like girls, awesome. If you're a girl and you don't ever want to have kids, fine. If you're a girl and you want to marry a girl, that's fine too. I could go down the fucking list. I truly don't care as long as you have the same equal shake at life that I do and you have the same opportunity to be happy like I do. That's all I want. I just want us to live in a free, open, fair society.
No, I do too.
It
And
doesn't have to be that fucking hard.
no, it doesn't. And what sucks is that CNN and Fox and whatever news source you get your shit from that is very biased in whatever way, they will sit there and say, "Well, we don't want this country to be racist," and then turn around and propagate things that continue to keep this country divided and racist. And it's like, number one, that shit needs to quit. And somebody needs to start holding those people accountable for the incitement that they're doing. Jesus said, you're right. The number of incidents might be small, but they're happening. You can't ignore the reality because it's exhausting to talk about. And no, we're not. I don't think we're ignoring the reality. And yes, you are correct. It gets very exhausting to talk about because our last string of podcasts has been basically the same thing over and over because it seems that on the weekly to the daily something happens and we come on here to try and talk about it and be like, look, from our point, from where we're sitting and trying to just get the straight up facts out of all of the mud, this is what we think is happening, and this is what we are trying to get you to realize is that it's just a giant propaganda machine.
Again,
No, Jesus. Sorry, he's talking to Joe. I'm not going against Joe. No, you're good. And I'm not trying to we're not trying to call you out or single you out like one of the way. I'm just we're saying the same thing. Just like in general, it's just that in general, yes, it gets very exhausting to talk about because it happens over and over and over, and it's just like we're tired of the big media pushing out the same narrative, but trying to be on the flip side a friend and be like, we need to stop racism, but then going ahead and blasting basically racist headlines across their news stories.
Let's liken it to something like the Me Too movement, when that was really popular. For a long time, the hashtag was believe all women. And it's like, okay, well, we realize that there might be some systematic misogyny happening in specific industries, and we need to look at that for sure and make sure that it doesn't happen. But when you use a hashtag like believe all women, you're taking away from the argument of actual victims who have been sought out against by males in that industry because, hey, if you want to roll in such and such movie or such and such show, you got to do X, Y, and Z personal sexual favors for me. That's fucked up. You can't do that. But you also can't get into a situation where you just take it all on the face and anybody that comes forward, we just automatically, throw the victim card at and persecute who they're claiming their allegations against, right? You're taking away from the actual movement. It's the same thing when you're talking about anything, race being one of them. Yes, there are racists out there, 1,000%. I I think we can all agree that racism still exists in our country. It exists everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's stupid and it's fucking ignorant. And those people, I wish we could just round them all up and let them go to their own island where they could be on that island with whatever kind of people they want to be.
Well, hell, they'd probably even figure out how to be racist against each other at some point.
If you don't have a fucking black mustache, you know, whatever. There's ignorant is the point of the story. But when you get to a point where you're attacking a police officer doing his job and claiming it is racially charged,
now it's gone too far.
It is. Do I think Derek Chauvin probably had some racially motivated charges when he put his knee on the neck of George Floyd? Yes.
100%. And because
that's a very valid case of a racially charged crime.
And it came out that those two had beef from way back, and there's been other incidences with that guy that he's done similar things and been reprimanded for. And this was finally, unfortunately, the thing that got him busted on it. The other thing that I'll say, though, is a lot of these movements that you put a hashtag to or something, in the long run, end up hurting what you're actually trying to accomplish. Because then it becomes some kind of battle cry, and then, like Poison has said, you know, for her, she got to the point where, you know, she doesn't believe all women, and she got so much hate for it. So, you know, you get to a point now where if you don't agree with the hashtag or whatever's coming out, then you're wrong. Even though you might sit back, like Poison said, and like we try and do, is we try and sit back and say, well, there's two sides to every story. And let's get down into the nitty gritty of it and have a look at what really happened and what's really going on. Because if we run off half-cocked on a hashtag like believe all women or something else along those lines, then there's going to be more and more people that end up in a position in jail or otherwise that they don't need to be in because they're innocent. And there needs to be accountability on the flip side of that and repercussions on the flip side of that for the people that make false accusations, which we don't hear enough about.
And Jesus says, which he brings up a good point. I can't remember anyone being attacked for being white or being discriminated against because you're straight. I have to be honest. I can't remember a time where I've ever been discriminated against because I was straight. In fact, the times where I've been, like one of my good friends is gay and I've been on his party buses and we've been at drag shows and stuff. And then like a gay guy comes up and like offers to buy me a drink. I'm always like, hey, yeah, absolutely, you know, but like just want you to know I'm straight. And if anything, they like welcome me in because I'm being so open and I'm not weird around like, you know, drag queens or whatever. If anything, it's the opposite. They're like, oh, you're straight, but you feel comfortable here.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
No, I can tell you many stories where I went out with my gay best friend Brendan to the gay bars and stuff like that. And obviously one of the first things out of his mouth was like, he's straight, but like whatever. But they were still warm and welcoming to me because I was there in what I would consider, I guess, their environment, but I wasn't, you know, being a dickhead about it. Yeah, and so I've got plenty of friends like that. And if you're just a nice person, people are gonna fucking chill with you, and they're gonna be cool with you. And if you sit there and go, yo, like, you know, I don't care, like what your skin color is, what your sexual orientation is, like any of that stuff, then people are gonna be like, all right, well, this guy's a chill dude, and like that's fine, you know. And just to play a little bit of like, I guess, devil's advocate, to Jesus' comment about, you know, anyone being discriminated because you're straight or anything like that. It's now kind of flipped a little bit. We talked about it with Tony when we had Tony on. So now it's kind of flipping. Like if I'm a straight person and I say I don't want to date a trans person, then all of a sudden I'm in the wrong and I'm transphobic because I'm straight and I don't want to date a trans woman. But that's not the case. Like, I don't care if you're trans. If you want to be trans, that's fine. I'll call you by your pronouns. I'll do whatever you want. I will respect you as a person. But me personally, that's not for me. I'm not attracted to that. Okay? And that's fine. But I'm not going to hate on you or discriminate you because of that fact. But if you turn that around...
I got a buddy that's into trans people, I'll try to hook you up.
I'll try to help you out. Like, for real. But when it gets turned around on me and go, oh, well, you're a transphobic and you're a homophobe or you're whatever... because you don't want to date a trans person, well, now you've hurt your movement and you've hurt the cause that you're trying to push forward and get recognition for, because now you've lost me as a supporter, basically. Well, because I feel attacked and I don't feel comfortable being around you.
And going back to the race thing, we have a perfect example in our comments right now. I could tell you about growing up in South Texas, like I've told you 100 times, and I've been discriminated against because I'm white. People throwing change on the counter, not putting it in my hand. My brother, when he was little, they wouldn't use his pencil because his pencil had the white on it, whatever. I remember a couple years ago, Justice Koch, telling me that he didn't get a promotion, that a Hispanic person got a promotion over him, that obviously he's a little bit biased. In his eyes, he thought he was the right person for the job, but the supervisor said, if I promote a white person over a Hispanic person, it makes it look bad because it makes it look like I'm promoting the white man over the Hispanic man. He used that as an example of why Koch didn't get the job. So if you think white people don't get, if you think being white gives you a pass against racism, I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Right.
I know that it doesn't exist probably as prominently.
It's not as prevalent, but there are pockets of it.
And in Omaha, Nebraska, do I ever fucking get any sort of racially charged negligence or, negativity because I'm white? No, never. Growing up in a border town, yes. Not, I wouldn't say every day, but I would say somewhat frequently it would happen. It just didn't bother me. I didn't let it eat away at me. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't really understand it because I'm like, well, like, you're the Hispanic one, like, like, you're the one who looks different from me. So, like, I get it. And I never treated anyone different because of the way they look. So when I got treated differently, it was kind of like, well, wait a minute. Aren't we kind of in this thing together?
Yeah,
like, why
we're
are
just
you
humans
treating me like this? Like, yeah, we're all just trying to fucking do our best out here, man. Like, doesn't fucking matter what you look like, who you like. I could continue on for hours.
Yeah, I know Jesus put out a good point here. He said, y'all are part of a wonderful minority of people who are accepting and kind. The reality is that people like himself is that we have to be careful where we go or what we do because you never know who you're gonna offend, which is true. But
1,000%.
which that brings up another point of like that sucks, and that sucks that we're in a society that's like that. And I wish that more people were like Alex and myself and my friend group and Alex's friend group who
everybody here right now.
Yeah, everybody here right now who's just like, yo, we get what you're saying. If people could just be kind and realize that we're all people, things would be a lot better. But that's the uphill battle, is trying to get people to be that way. Sorry, and I know we're just keying in on Jesus's comments right now, but that's like what we're talking about. I don't want to like negate anything else anybody's saying. Gerber said, to go back to the racism in police/civilian interaction. He says, I do agree. There's a massive problem having cases like Bryant's and Nazario's conflated together. You might have to. I personally, I don't remember Nazario's thing. So somebody.
Nazario was the one, the army soldier, army lieutenant.
Oh, he was the lieutenant that got.
Yeah,
he was. Well, he's still a soldier, but technically his rank is lieutenant.
Yeah, I don't want to
downplay his achievements.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Because he's a person of color, and it's extremely fucked up what happened to that guy. Like, he was being so cool. All he was asking is, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah.
A lot nicer than the way that I just...
Right, but the long and the short of it, he was like, what is going on?
They're like, he's like, I'm a fucking veteran too, and you're gonna ride the lightning, boy. And he's like, wait a minute, excuse me? It's like, all right, pepper spray. Like, dude, just do your fucking job.
Yeah, like, just because...
Talk to the guy.
Yeah.
Just talk to the fucking guy.
Yeah.
Fucking, just because you got picked on in the 8th grade like the rest of us, now you want to be a fucking big man.
Yeah.
Flex your muscles and say, you're gonna ride the lightning. Which, by the way, you never even deployed your taser. You just went for a pussy move and just...
You went for pepper spray.
Shit out of it, dude. Yeah, that's fucked up.
It is very fucked up.
If that's racially charged, we should fucking persecute that guy to the fullest extent of the law. 1,000%.
And I wouldn't even say if. I feel like it was 100% racially charged.
I will lead the fucking charge. I wish I could be on that jury so I could give that guy a straight guilty charge, and I wish I could be the judge also in some mythical world and give him the fullest extent of the law when it comes to sentencing, because that's fucked up.
It's so fucked.
But again, when you sorry, I forgot his name, Gerber, when you conflate those cases together, you said it very eloquently. way more eloquently than I have so far. When you conflate those two cases together, you're taking away from the real motivation and the real charge of the movement, because you're going to have those fucks on the right who are like, oh, there go the Dems again, just white on black crime, and that's all. Well, it does exist. We get it, and it shouldn't happen, and we should all strive to make sure it doesn't happen. But to use it in every single situation and just play the race card at any drop of the hat, you're giving the other side room to wiggle and say, well, that movement's bullshit. Because some of it is bullshit. Not all of it is bullshit, but some of it is bullshit. And
right.
People are dumb, and they listen to the fucking CNN and Fox News headlines because they don't want to put
the effort or the energy in. But that's okay, because that's what we're here for. We're here for you to put that effort and energy in and get away from the mainstream headlines.
We're all in this shit together, all right?
Right. Coke brought back a thing to our, back when we were talking about, false accusations. You can file a tort or defamation of character lawsuit if they falsely accuse you, which is true. But I with just that, I feel like you shouldn't have to go through that process of doing that. I feel like if it comes out that was, a false statement or, defamation of character, then something should happen to the person without you having to put extra work in to do that. But maybe that's not how the justice system works, and that's another conversation about reform in that regard. Wow, you guys are really popping off tonight. I'm enjoying it.
Yes, Justice Ben is in the military.
I am. I was a Marine Corps reservist, and I am now active duty Air Force. So, disclaimer for this video when it goes on YouTube: these are my own personal beliefs and opinions. These does not represent the beliefs or opinions of the DoD or the Air Force. Got that out of the way.
Yeah, sorry, Justice was texting me.
But yeah,
his name is Ben. Also,
down here in the bottom, you can see.
Yeah, and Gerber, you're exactly right. That Navarro.
Yeah, the lieutenant was given conflicting information. So you like, what do you do? It's a clusterfuck of a stop that probably shouldn't have even happened. And my man was getting given conflicting information. And you're right. You have to obey one and disobey the other. So one cop's gonna be like, great, he's obeying my orders, and the other cop's gonna be like, what the fuck? Why aren't you listening to me?
And I believe, if I'm not incorrect, the entire stop was due to the tinting on his windows.
It was a bullshit response. My man was literally traveling, went through a fucking podunk-ass little town where obviously their law was you can't have this amount of tint on your windows, where more than like...
So fucking dumb, dude.
Oh, they got him on expired plates is what Gerbert said.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Okay.
It was expired plates.
Okay, well, like, that's fine. So
write him ticket.
Write him a ticket, or better yet, be like, hey, man, your tags are expired. What's going on? And then he can explain his situation, and you can move on with your day. There was no reason for any of that bullshit to happen.
Stupid.
But they were behind due to COVID. Yeah, so, like, I feel like now with COVID and everything, you shouldn't, like, traffic stops for expired plates should just be like, okay, if you're going to pull him over for it, give him a chance to explain, but, yo, my DMDV is behind because of COVID, blah, 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 like, whatever. I understand that, yes, people can use that as a way to get out of a ticket or whatever, but we're in a weird situation with, like, COVID stuff and everything, so at this point in time, it's a valid excuse. It's just, like, at most, if you had to do something, write him a fucking warning. That way there's no fine involved, and he has a thing that says, hey, get your tags fucking fixed. And move on with your day. There was no reason, just because you walked up and were like, oh, he's black, and you're in some podunk-ass backwater town in the middle of fucking nowhere with two racist cops, that needed to happen.
I've been pulled over for expired tags, and you know what happened? The officer walked up to my car, and I said, hey, what's going on? He said, hey, your tags are expired. I was like, shit, I didn't even realize that. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to give you a fix-it ticket so you have a month or whatever it is to go into the DMV and get them renewed. And when you get them renewed, this ticket goes away. And I was like, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And he said, yeah, no problem. Have a good day. And we went our fucking separate ways. But in this case, obviously, that cop is a fuckhead. And probably saw a black dude with tin on his windows, even though he's in his fucking army fatigues.
Yeah, and I like, that's just that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Where like my man is clearly in the military, and you're still gonna treat somebody that's defending the country and your right to basically be a jackass, and you're gonna do that. Like, come
The
on.
fact that you're probably racially charged pisses me off to begin with, and B, the fact that this dude is putting his life on the line for our country makes me even more pissed off. So at this point in time, I just want to sit that cop down in a room and unload like 2 cans of pepper spray on his ass and be like, huh, how does that feel?
All
How do
right.
you like it, huh?
True, but now we get into vigilante justice.
Yeah, I'm not a vigilante.
But yeah,
I
Gerber, you're probably right. He technically outranked both of them. Honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fuck, dude. That was a whole fuck situation. But the long and the short of it is, like we said probably 1,000 times before, and I'll pull out my baseball bat and beat the shit out of this dead horse again. If people would just be kind to people and just quit being dickheads and listening to the propaganda that is just belched out on the daily, we'd have been in a lot better situation than what we are.
Jesus, if I had the money to be Batman, I would be Batman in a fucking heartbeat.
Alex and I will moonlight as Batman. One of us can take one night off, and the other one will take up the mantle. That way, no one's super tired at all times.
Nobody would ever.
And they would never know who Batman actually was.
If you're racist, I'm coming for your ass.
I'm gonna feed you your knees.
You're beating women or men, for that matter.
I'm gonna feed you your knees.
Yeah.
I hope you like crunchy knees for breakfast. Goes great with orange juice.
Yeah. I hope you like picking up your fucking teeth off the ground. Fucking piece of shit.
Phoenix Star, hell yeah, Gerber.
Well, nicely. Okay? It's not that fucking hard.
It's really not hard. Honestly, like, and this has been put out multiple times, but always gets swept under the rug. Racism is not inherent to people. Watch videos of kids being kids, man. They don't give a fuck. But then they get home to these dick-ass parents, and, here we are.
I've told the story on here. When my brother was on a basketball team, one of our best friends in South Texas, it was a black family, and they had kids very close, similar in age to us. My brother played basketball with the one that he was closest in age with. Kid was a fucking phenomenal point guard. My brother played center, and they tore shit up together. My grandpa asked him one day, like, very pointedly, like, do you have any, like, black friends? My brother's like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, do you have any black friends? His best friend in the world is black, like pretty, I don't want this to be racist, but it's not like he was mixed. Like, he's very black, He's like, no, I don't have any black friends. Kids don't see that.
They don't see it. They're just like, what do you mean? That's my friend.
That's the point guard, If you had asked him who the point guard on the team was, he would have said, oh, yeah, Josh.
Yeah.
But if you ask him who the black kid on the team was, he'd been like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's just my best friend. That's just my basketball buddy.
So Jesus has said that while I understand what you're saying when it comes to propaganda, something I need to add is that for people like him, those stories bring to light what else we have to look out for. It's a sad reality that a racial injustice story or discrimination story is basically our warning signs for what not to do. And that sucks. And I will 100% sympathize and empathize with you on that is fucking bullshit. And it sucks that's what our society is. And if we were to ever meet Jesus and walk down the street and somebody said something to you, I'd punch him in the mouth for you. Maybe you don't want me to punch him in the mouth, but somebody's getting punched in the mouth, okay? And that's for any of my friends, no matter what. Like, if for some reason being gay was just out there and everybody knew, like you walked around with a neon sign that said I'm gay or whatever, and somebody said something about it, I'd punch them in the mouth too. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're gonna be an asshole, like, these hands are rated E for everyone, okay? Yeah. I don't give a shit. Thanks, I carry my knife. Okay, well, I'll just punch him, Jesus. I don't need you stabbing somebody. I just punched a guy. I can deal with an assault charge.
Well, and it goes back again, back to beating the dead horse of why we started this whole thing is to create these conversations and these communities where people can feel safe or they can feel like they're not going to be attacked for expressing their opinion.
Exactly.
Like, you might disagree with me, and that is 1,000% fine. And you and I can sit and we can have discourse.
And we can drink beer about it.
And I'm not going to call you an asshole unless you're being an asshole because you're racist or whatever. Then you're not welcome here. Sorry. But we can have
Not
these
sorry.
conversations and these communities in this open space for us to have open community conversation, and nobody's going to be attacked or called names.
This
And
I
if
love
there's more of
this.
this, I love it too,
I
man.
love this. I love having people come in here and we can just accept justice. God damn it, Luther. But people can we can just come in here and we can sit here and talk and be like, well, I don't agree with you, but at the end of the day, we're still gonna be friends, and I'll still go and I'll still come hang out with you, and we'll drink some beer and we'll fucking hang out together, or like whatever, and we're gonna be fine, and we can look at each other and be like, I don't agree with that, but I see where you're coming from, but that doesn't make me hate you.
At the end of the day, again, I think people will be, especially if they tune into the mainstream media, would be shocked to find out that we have a lot more in common
I was just about to
than
say
we do
we as a
disagreements.
whole have more in common than what we don't have in common. We people are people, and people are different, and we all have our different belief systems, and those are not always going to mesh up. But at the end of the day, we're all people, and we all have more in common with each other than what we are led to believe. And if we can all realize that fact, we could change the world, honestly. Honestly, we could. We could take those in power and actually hold them accountable. We could quit being sheep. We could stop the propaganda machine that is big mainstream media. There's a lot of shit that could happen that we could change. Um, and that's part of the reason why we do this. So we're gonna be the little grassroots movement to get the fire started.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm gonna go back. Gerber said that, yeah, he thinks, I think that tribalism is intrinsic, but where the line is drawn is definitely taught. No, for sure, because everybody has their own like group of people, their own tribe that they fucks with on the daily. But you can also look at another tribe of people and be like, people ain't that bad. We all come together and work together. But anyway,
I kind of low key really despised white Midwesterners when I first moved to Omaha. Like, because the Hispanic community was kind of like my tribe, like that's who I grew up with. I grew up going to, barbecues in the backyard with Theo and Tia and Abuelo and Abuela,
and the tias and the tios.
and yeah, and the salsa and the carne and the tacos, and that was like my kind of my tribe, those people
Those are
that
your
I
people.
grew up with.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I've told this story too. The first time I went to a Walmart here in Omaha, I was like, there are so many fucking white people here, dude. This is wild. And I started hanging out with them, and they kind of have this like
Weird
arrogance to them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you fucking white people, like you Midwesterners. And, it takes time to adjust. But again, that tribalism is intrinsic, but it's up to you to break out of that and identify people for people,
right,
and realize that it doesn't matter what they look like or where they come from. If you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a shitty person, then sorry, I don't want anything to do with you.
Pretty much. All right, let's move on and talk about Biden's first 100 days and how nothing has changed from one president to the next. It's just ridiculous. So from what I've seen so far, and I haven't been following too much, so that's on me. But from what I can see, nothing has been done to scale back anything in regards to a border wall. In all actuality, a border wall looks to be more and more on the horizon. There was a story of one family who had some of their land seized by the government because they were going to put the border wall right through part of their property that they owned. The I will call it the border crisis, which we've touched on before, is still ongoing, and perhaps even worse now under the new administration, with more and more people being detained and more children separated from their parents and put in these holding pens, more so than those pens can hold. And there have been stories with that the children tell that say they had to take turns sleeping because there's not enough room for all of them to lay down and go to sleep around the same time. So they're on sleeping shifts, basically, that they've come up with themselves. There have been, Biden has still, and his administration have still launched attacks against or in the Middle East. Recently, there was a couple of bombings in Syria. that were authorized by the administration. And as much as they would like to tell you that troops are pulling out of Afghanistan by X date, that is not happening. That date has been so far pushed farther back into the year, and you know, there's stuff like that. Biden right now, from what we can both see, and Alex can go into more detail on this here in a few seconds. My man is just hanging his hat on the fact that he's been pushing out vaccines and trying to use that to mask everything else that has not changed between administrations. So it's basically same shit, different day, different dude. Nothing's changed. The two-party system is fucked, and they're really not all that different.
I don't even know where to start because I disagreed with the border wall. I thought it was stupid to begin with when Trump did it.
Yep.
Now they've spent the money on the materials. So the materials are laying there ready to be installed. So we've spent the money on the materials. But now, in efforts to claim that we're woke or we're not xenophobic or whatever our current administration is claiming, we're going to stop and halt the construction of the wall, which we've already fucking paid for. So I think the wall is stupid. I've said it 100 times. If you build a 20-foot wall, you're just going to create a marketplace for 23-foot ladders.
20, 30-foot ladders or really nice shovels.
Again, Hispanics are crafty, dude. That's what I love about the people that I grew up with. They're fucking crafty. They don't take no for an answer a lot of times. They're hustlers. They're go-getters. And you think the cartel is going to let a 20-foot wall stop them from getting their exports into America?
Even with that, just the imagery that puts out to the rest of the world, and the fact that, hey, we have a southern border wall. We're it's essentially just being like, we're closing the country off to everyone. So now we look like this closed off, hostile country that goes against what basically America was essentially founded
for,
as a place where everyone is welcome. Come who you are, however you are, and we'll welcome you, and we can all participate in the American dream together. Now we're putting forth this imagery of basically like the wall is going to be a giant middle finger to the world, like, fuck off, dude. We don't want any of you, in particular Hispanics and Southern and Central South Americans.
I was listening to XM comedy radio the other day, and there's a guy who had a bit about like John Smith in Missouri being worried about the Talibans or the Mexicans coming to take his job or whatever. I didn't know that was a bit because I've been saying that for a long time. John Smith in fucking Omaha, Nebraska is the ones like, oh, those damn illegal immigrants are coming to take my job. Like, no, John, you're in the middle of the fucking country. No one's coming to take your job. But that's why Trump was, build the wall, make America great again, blah, blah, fucking blah. It was all a big ploy. It was all a big, front for we're making our country secure again. Again, I didn't like the wall on its face. I thought it was stupid to begin with. But now we've paid for it. So we might as well install the fucker. You might as well put it up because the materials
you're in this fucking deep
on the ground. Like, and yeah, I guess in a sense it will make it harder for the coyotes, cartel, what have you, coming across. Like, it will make it harder. You're not going to stop them, but it'll make it harder. I get that point, I guess. Install the fucking thing. We paid for it already. Put it up. But we want to have this image of wokeness or whatever, of we're not xenophobic, come one, come all. Hell, we'll invite him to come to the border within our first 100 days and, catch and release. We're not going to do that. We'll hold them here until we can figure it out. And now we have this overflowing of these detention centers because when you invite people to the border, that's what's going to happen. They're going to come, and we don't have the ability to house them or take care of them. We already have a fucking homeless community of millions of people in our
Millions.
country that we can't take care of. So now we're inviting more people that we can't take care of to come to the border. It's so fucking stupid,
It
dude.
is. It is
Like,
stupid. I'm gonna
I
get
get
into.
tired of talking about it
Yeah.
I don't get tired about talking about it. I just get frustrated by the way decisions are made because we want it to look good versus making a smart, conscious decision based on what's best for our fucking people and our country.
Exactly. I'm gonna get
But we're
into.
worried about votes. We're worried about votes and lobbyists.
Yeah.
That's what the main focus is.
No, 100%. I'm gonna get into some of these comments. First of all, late to the gamer. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate you coming in. And I will get to your comments here in just a second. Gerber said that we should honestly make it easier to become a citizen. Come get your social security number and get your taxes on. True. We've talked about that not too long ago. The citizenship process should definitely be easier, and there should be some reformation that comes to that. Luther said the government is all corrupt. Until we start putting term limits and make it more feasible for the average Joe to run for president, we'll continue having the same problems. Big facts, which is why Alex and I push so hard for the rise of a third party, because
I'm gonna run one day.
that'll be the thing, man. A third party, and we've said it before, and the main two parties now are super worried. If a third party rises, it's gonna fuck everything for them, and I'm here for it. And then late to the gamer said, there are farmers here right now with fields rotting because American citizens won't do farm labor that immigrants can't come in to do right now, but they're taking your job, right? And he said, growing up on the border, you think the detention centers are bad. So are the colonias. We force immigrants to live without any water, plumbing, or
Yes.
electricity. And you are super correct in both of those statements. So here's another thing that I'll say, and this is kind of like, I guess, against the homeless population. Yes, we should do a better job taking care of our homeless population, but at the same time, it should also be on those people that if a job opportunity, say like hard labor like that, excuse me, comes up, jump on it, take it. Now you have a job. Now you have an income. Now you can work to better yourself, and then maybe you don't have to stay in that hard labor job. You'll get to a point where you can leave that job. At the same time, also immigrants as well want to work. They're to come for the most part. Most of them want to come and work. That's fine. Make the citizenship process easier, and then there's plenty of jobs available for them to take and do that perhaps they even want to do. Because, and I don't take this the wrong way, chat. Don't take this the wrong way. But coming from Central and South America and Mexico, that's a lot of, I guess, in my opinion, and please correct me if I'm wrong, they're used to, I guess, that kind of work.
Well, I think let me expand on what you're saying a little bit, because
Sure.
I hear what you're saying and you're correct. You would do the same job in Mexico for pennies on the dollar of what a U.S. farmer would pay you to do here.
Exactly.
So again, if you're an immigrant and you're not part of the MS-13, you're not part of a cartel, you're not a coyote trying to get people over here illegally, whatever, and we have that job ready for you. Just reading the title, asparagus farmer may lose crop workers without immigrants or migrant workers. When that person comes over and says, hey, I'm ready to work, I'm ready to go, we should have a system in place, which I think a working visa would, ideally.
That would work. Honestly, you have a working visa. You're here legally to work.
Perfect. I've got a spot for you. I've got a guy. So go work, and you can make $12, $15 an hour or whatever that farmer's going to pay you. And that immigrant will be in heaven because they're doing the same job for more money.
Exactly.
Because guess why people move their shipment plants to places like Mexico is because they can pay workers there pennies on the dollar, and the cost of the product goes down. So if we do have that immigrant worker who's ready to come and do a job that is needed to be done, because people are, and I'm not against stimulus checks, but if people are sitting at home just collecting their stimulus check and are like, hey, I don't need to work, I'll just sit here and collect my free money. Well, guess what? We got the next guy up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where the fuck they came from. Honest person, not part of a cartel, coming here to try to better their lives. God damn it, that's America. Let that person go to work right away. Fucking send them to the field, Let him work his ass off and let him make the money that he deserves to make. It, the idea of immigrants coming to quote unquote take your job is so mundane and so
It's just ignorant
stupid.
because there it's a it was
Yeah.
it's a before we get any farther, boost your volume a little bit. I think chat's still saying you're a little
Still,
bit, yeah, they're saying you're a little low. I don't know what's going on.
I'm gonna turn this shit all the way up then. All right.
Um but oh shit, I just lost what I was gonna say. No, they're not like that was a rhetoric that was pushed so long ago when everybody was so hateful of people coming to try to come to America and work jobs. Is because they're like, well, they're coming to take our jobs, we got to stop them. When it wasn't true at all.
It's the episode of South Park.
Yeah,
They took our
they
jobs.
took our nerves, but like they're
Yeah,
not.
no,
They're
they're
here
not, dude.
for on the most part. They're here ready to work in the jobs that you won't take because you're too prideful to base yourself and humble yourself to do a job um that you think is beneath you when it's not. Like for me growing up, I've worked jobs that I didn't want to work and I hated working them, but I had to because I needed to pay for things and I needed to like get shit set up. So I've done jobs that I hate doing. And now finally I'm in a job that I want to do and I enjoy what I do. But I had to go through and do shitty jobs growing up in high school and in college because that's what I needed to do to get myself ahead. And sometimes you got to do that. And I think that's a big problem with some of the things that we're teaching kids nowadays. Is like, I mean, yes, you are. You know, you're not. You're all special, whatever, and you might be worth more than what you think. And don't work that job because it's beneath you. That's not true, and I feel like it's a toxic rhetoric. Like
Well,
I got instilled for me in a young age work ethic. Just when you go, whatever job you have, bust your ass at that job and put in the work, no matter how mundane and how small it is. Because in the long run, it'll help you out. And there's not enough of that being taught anymore.
yeah. Well, and that's where in America we have this narrative of, well, it's okay, honey, work whatever job you want and do your best. And, well, if you don't want to work at McDonald's, you don't have to. Like, your dad and I will help you out. But immigrants, they don't have that fucking train of mind, dude.
They're there to bust their ass and get where they need to be.
It's feast or famine, and
Yeah.
I'm here to work. And it's a lot better than what I was doing in Mexico. So let them come over and let them work, dude. Like, it's not that hard of a process to figure out.
And if they do end up taking your job, it's because you were too fucking lazy to get off your ass and go do something to get to where you needed to be to work the job where you wanted. But meanwhile, somebody that came from less than what you had went out and put the work in and busted their ass to get to where they needed to be better their situation, while you sat there and tried to suck on the tit of the government.
Exactly. And nobody feels bad for you.
I don't feel bad for you. And if that immigrant who came here and got here legally and applied legally and everything and did what they were supposed to do, went and took a job that you were trying to get because you were too fucking lazy to go off and get off your ass and do it yourself, then sorry, not sorry, dude, fuck you. Yeah. And good on that guy for working his ass off to get where he needed to be. And you can sit there and try and suckle the teat of the government, you lazy fuck. Sorry.
No, that's 1,000% true. And it's the same ideology when you like start looking at sports or whatever. If you're complaining because the coach isn't starting you, be good enough to where he has to start you.
Be better. Put the work in. Put the hashtag work in.
And if you're worried about immigrants taking your job, work as fucking hard as they do. And there you go. That's the end of the story.
Right.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. Late to the Gamer said, we also tell people who do work at McDonald's that they don't deserve benefits or a better wage, and that seems unfair too. And you're correct. No. Like, honestly, look, this is a very simplistic view that we put out, but there's a lot of things that need to be changed in a lot of different areas. But at the same time, McDonald's is not supposed to be a long-term, like, career job. It can be, and you can bust your ass at McDonald's and work up to management and end up getting to a point where you could start your own franchise. Very cool. But on the whole, McDonald's is basically a starter job. It's minimum wage. It's not supposed to be a job that you sit there and work for 20 years or whatever at McDonald's. Like, it's a starter job, and I would almost say that it's
Unless you want it to be,
I mean,
if that's your goal,
if that's your
then
goal and
do
you want to
it.
sit there and flip burgers for the rest of your life and you can make that work for your lifestyle, then 100% go do it. But the people that complain most about that kind of suck, a, a job should be able to support you no matter what it is. Well, that's right, Jesus, but it should be able to support you for like the I guess the period of life you're in. All right? Like somebody should not like I see like this is how I see McDonald's. It's like a starter job for high school kids and maybe college kids that need, extra money or money to start saving and putting away for other things. It's not supposed to be a job for someone that is older or whatever that you're trying to make a living off of. And like we can get into a whole different discussion about how inflation has fucked everything, and obviously $7.50 an hour is not going to pay your rent and be able to like get you your
Well,
groceries or anything like that.
one of our guys sold to a customer the other day, and he was the director of people for, it was like Arby's or for Hardee's. I can't remember which one it was. And this dude made $120,000 a month. A month. So if you want to start at Arby's or Hardee's or McDonald's or whatever and work your way up, dude, fucking go for it. If you want to flip burgers your entire life, that's fine too. But you have to accept that there are some positions that will pay you less because it requires less skill, where I could bring in Joe Schmo off the street and do the same job and get the same exact amount of productivity out of them. Or I could refine my craft and move up in my position and do something that's more valuable to a company.
Right.
Either one, it's all fine. And yes, you should be able to work any job and support yourself. I don't think anybody's arguing against that. And I don't like the fact that single mothers have to work 3 jobs to try to keep food on the table for their kids. I think there's room to grow in all of these conversations when it comes to income inequality. I think there's a direct conversation that needs to happen to make sure that people are taken care of, especially people that are busting their ass.
Right.
I've said it before. I watched single moms work the fucking system as a preschool director because we had Title 20, which is the state funded child care program, which is great for 95% of those people using it. And then there's 5% that abuse it and fuck it up for the rest of them. I've seen people work and abuse the system. And I've seen moms have to turn down a raise at their work because it will put them in a tax bracket where they can no longer qualify for Title 20, which is the state-funded education. I've seen it. I've been there. I know the people. I felt for them. My heart ached watching mothers turn down raises at work because it was going to get rid of their state-funded childcare. There's room to grow. There needs to be reform in all of these things. 1,000%.
And this is another thing that that comes up with this is we've put such a focus on getting a college degree and putting people into debt for that to try and find a better job that is also becoming an issue. So outside of getting college, there's also there's other opportunities than just going to college. Trade school is a great opportunity for many people. That is like way cheaper than going to a state or a private 4-year university to get an underdegree and then spending more money to get a bachelor's or to get a master's, because that's where we're at now. Because nowadays a bachelor's isn't enough anymore, so it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But like I know you guys are all saying like it is difficult to upgrade from a minimum wage job to something greater, especially if you have no coverage on your income and that kind of stuff. And look, I get all of that, and there's a deeper root problem with all that other stuff. But the be all and end all of it is a minimum wage job is not meant to support you. And yes, we can say that it's there's other problems with like how the economy's gone with inflation. Like all of this stuff is tied together, and we're talking in very simplistic, very narrow terms. But if you keep bumping up minimum wage, it's gonna make the price of goods higher. It's just going to contribute to inflation so that the other jobs that you're working, people that work jobs that pay more, the power of the dollar goes down and then everybody's basically reset. So minimum wage might go up, but the cost of everything else goes up and then we're still in the same boat.
I'll talk about one thing that I've heard from the Democratic side this week that I actually liked. I thought is a good idea. People below the poverty line getting like I think it was like $6,000 a year. Not enough for you to live on. Not enough for you to say, well, I'm gonna specifically stay below the poverty line because I get this, $6 grand a year. But enough to help people get back up on their feet if they do find themselves in that situation. And I think that's a good idea. Like if the money's there, we're LA is investing like a $12 million a year into their homeless population, and their numbers continue to grow in the homeless population. And there's all these weird like funds and grants and things like that where you start getting into 1% of $12 million. It's like, oh, $1 million or 10%, $1 million goes missing here or there or whatever. This is coming from a Joe Rogan episode. That there's money going missing somewhere because the money that's being invested to help the homeless community is not taking away the numbers of the homeless community. So let's take that money out of the hands of the fucking government who claims that they're helping while the numbers suggest otherwise, and let's put it into the hands of the fucking people on the streets who are really trying to get back on their feet.
Right.
There's room for reform. Something needs to happen so that people aren't struggling and busting their ass every day and not going anywhere. We need to help those people out.
Yeah.
And the further we get down the line with the idea of, well, let's just make a bigger government. Let's make a bigger government. Let's invest more money into this government entity, into that government entity. Put it in the fucking hands of the people. And you know what? If they spend it on drugs and alcohol, it is what it is. And they're going to be there next year and they're going to get the same fucking $6,000 or whatever. They're already not going anywhere. So what's it going to hurt? Because the money that we're spending towards it isn't helping in the first place. So you're not going to go backwards because we're already going backwards. But the people who actually need it and want a fresh start, I gave a ride the other day. It was in Kansas City. I had stopped before my golf round. And this guy, super nice guy standing out front, was like, "Excuse me, sir, could you give me a ride to my hotel?" And I was like, "Where's your hotel at?" And he's like, "It's like 200 yards away. I could see the hotel." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So he gets in, he puts his bag in, and I introduce myself, and I'm like, "So are you in town for work?" He's like, telling me the story. He's like, "Long story short, I suffered with addiction. I lost my wife. I lost my kids. Now I'm just trying to get back up on my feet and trying to find work somewhere." And we had like a 2-minute conversation. And the guy wasn't asking me for money, but I ended up giving him a 20. And I'm like, "Look, man, I admire your spirit. I admire what you're trying to do. Like, it takes a lot to hit rock bottom and, climb your way back up. But, best of luck in all that you're doing." That fucking person needs help. He's doing the right things. He's trying to get his life back on his feet. He's not trying to sit around and collect money from the government to just spend on frivolous shit. That's the guy we need to help. And if we need to give that guy $6 grand to get back on his feet, and 5,000 other people just like him, give them that money to get them back on their feet, fan-fucking-tastic. I hope that's where my tax dollars go. And if 1,000 of them spend it on drugs and alcohol, well, then you know what? You can't be perfect. The system's never perfect. But you can't continue to sit around and just tell people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps or whatever, because clearly what we're doing right now is not working. We're going in the wrong direction.
Exactly. And I'm gonna catch up with chat. I'm gonna catch up with you guys in just a second. So you know, a big part of it is the fact that the government as itself, taxes in and of themselves are not right, honestly. The government taxing the hell out of you and taxing you in any way to, I know it's supposed to go to like public services and all that other kind of stuff, but I feel like if you were to just keep the money that you earn in the hands of the people, then things would still get done the way they need to get done. And that might be relying too much on the good naturedness of people and everything like that. But the government has, through the years become more and more powerful and more corrupt. And so, like we were mentioning earlier, money goes missing on all these other types of things. It's just that the be all and end all of it is there's just sweeping reform that needs to happen. And that's a long and arduous road ahead. Pendonkeys, I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you, man. I'm gonna go back and talk about your other thing. You mentioned earlier, isn't the very definition of minimum wage the minimum amount to make an actual living? And that was true a long time ago. Nowadays, through inflation and a bunch of other things, unfortunately, it's not the case. And you said, right, what you're saying is going to happen with minimum wage going up is already happening without minimum wage going up, and that's true as well. It's an unfortunate fact that inflation was going up without minimum wage being touched, which is why we're now trying to play catch up on minimum wage to raise it up to a point where it is a minimum amount to live on. But it all boils down to the fact that there's a lot of changes that need to happen, and if we as the people realize we have a lot more power than what we are led to believe, and we band together as people and stop focusing on our differences, a lot of things could change in a lot of ways, and I think hopefully in a lot of positive ways.
Well, and again, it's like the whole Atlanta situation with the All-Star game getting pulled out of Atlanta, right? Or Georgia, whatever, Georgia, Atlanta. You have to be careful because sometimes things look and sound right. Like, okay, even if you think the voter registration laws are racist, yeah, let's boycott Georgia, right? Well, you're inadvertently hurting the same people that you're striving to protect by doing that, because now those people aren't making the same amount of money. Local businesses, people working in hotels, so on and so forth. So raising the minimum wage to $15 sounds like a good idea on its face, right? Like if that's what people need to live, then that's fine. But you're also not going to stop or deter McDonald's from going to automated ordering. So now instead of having 10 people on staff, you now have 5 people on staff. So there again, you're seeking to protect people, but you can't just enact something because it sounds good or it looks good. And I'm not saying that $15 minimum wage isn't a good idea. I'm not an economist. I'm not going to fucking pretend to be. I suck at math. I'm not good with numbers. Let me throw that out there right on its face. But you have to be careful, and you can't just go enacting things without thinking the whole situation through and looking at the problem into its roots, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. So also, if they so here we go. Let me kind of catch up with you guys. Sorry. So if they raise the
beer real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna catch up with chat. Yeah, so the national. Let me. Okay, so Late to the Gamer says, of course, if the consumer isn't making enough money now to afford your product, and keeping their wages low as the price of products still rises because the cost of production and marketing etc. goes up, and people still aren't buying your product. Facts. And that was in response to Luther talking about, saying as a businessman, he's going to push the expenses back to the consumer and increases at a faster rate. Let me try and catch up with you guys. You guys are popping off tonight, and I am here for it. Coke said, also if they raise the minimum wage too much, then companies are just going to operate but the factories in countries, yeah, they're going to push, production to countries where things are cheaper, so that they can keep the cost of their goods high, or whatever, and keep their profit margins safe. But Donkey said, again, it's already happening. They're ditching workers for automation. More and more so, automation is becoming the norm. Like the gamer said, we should just make laws that prevent that. If trade is controlled by legislation, then it can be protected by legislation. That's true. That gets into a big gray area where you give the government perhaps too much power, but at the same time, companies in their own right nowadays have, I would hazard to say, almost more power than the government has. And I feel like that, yes, there does need to be some more regulation in regards to companies and how they operate, so that they don't, fuck the consumer and just worry about, unethically making money as best they can. Um, Labor is cheaper. The problem is that these companies are automating anyway, and that the only constant is the fact that people still oppose a raise in minimum wage because they fear what's already happening, not might happening. And then Pandonki said, every one of your arguments against raising minimum wage are things that have happened or are happening. Again, true. And like, it's, and this is getting into like, the cost of people is the biggest cost in operation, and that's facts, and that's true. I remember that from when I was doing all my business classes while I was in college. People are the most expensive part of an operation, of a company, of a factory, and anything. Pandonki says it's like we can't take care of the people because we haven't taken care of them yet. So why should we start? And that's another thing. And like Alex and I have said for the longest time, it's all like it's. There's a lot of reform that has to happen in a lot of different ways, and the thing that sucks is it's almost like you need to just scrap everything and start over, but that is a long and hard road, and not many people want to get into that, and you can't just scrap everything without a replacement ready to go.
I don't know what I missed.
I'm just trying to catch up with chat. Chat is talking amongst themselves, and I am here for it. I love all of this.
Thank you so much, chat, by the way.
Mom and pop shops, yep. Gerber said the one thing that will be truly hurt by an increase in minimum wage is mom and pop shops. Amazon can handle it and big companies can handle it, but Tom's knickknacks can't, and that's true. And there needs to be things in place to help protect the mom and pop shops.
Also weird that during COVID, mom and pop shops got shut down, but you could still go to fucking Target and Walmart and order shit on Amazon.
Yeah.
So weird that their businesses were thriving while small businesses were hurting. Weird how that shit works, huh?
Right. When Jesus said this is why poor people are staying poor. Companies are automating, people are getting let go, they have no opportunities to advance, and the minimum wage remains the same. It's true, and it's unfortunate. It's true, and it's unfortunate. And I think there are some things, there are things out there that are there for people that happens. IT has been a big thing that's been pushed lately. As if people get let go for certain things, or whatever, or get let go of their job. That IT has been pushed a lot because it's a job that's in demand and it's in need, and coding and that stuff. If you put in the work, is not, I guess, terribly difficult to get educated on and start at an entry level position and work up. But I mean, there are opportunities, but some are hard to come by, and the ones that aren't talked about enough. But yes, you guys are right. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy, and they do need to be protected, and they do need to be helped and supported. The amount of big companies that fraudulently took out PPP, during this pandemic made you angry. 100% agree with that.
Guess what? Late to the gamer. The company I worked for was one of those fucking companies. They didn't take it out fraudulently, but they did not use it the way they were supposed to use it. The president of our company said we're not going to hand out quote unquote welfare checks when people couldn't do their jobs because of COVID. They basically used it as a sales incentive, which I did not agree with at all.
Yeah, that's big dumb.
I gotta keep fucking roof over my head, and I wasn't ready to switch jobs in the middle of a pandemic, so
right.
Do what I can.
Man, this is you guys fucking.
Yeah, this is to all you guys. I love each and every single one of you. I'm glad you all are here. I love you all.
100%.
I'm so thankful for all of your different opinions and topics.
You guys gave us a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm truly thankful for it.
You guys are the real MVPs.
You guys are awesome.
And I ain't got shit to do until Chris and Reagan get home, which won't be for like 2 hours. So
Well,
I'll keep this shit going.
I have other things to do. I gotta get ready for the week.
Ben's got shit to do.
Yeah, I'm a busy boy.
Stay on the Zoom with them.
So yeah, have you guys really hammered it on that minimum wage stuff? And I appreciate it. Give us live. Fuck, we'll probably come back and talk about it more. We are at the hour 40 mark, which is usually roughly about when we try and wrap it up, just so the YouTube audience doesn't fucking lose their minds. People's attention spans.
About the YouTube audience, they should be here right now if they really care.
I mean, true. But yeah. So anyway, I'll say this. I think now we're gonna wrap it up for now. And I'll say this. I appreciate all you guys coming out. I appreciate all of the interaction tonight. It's been awesome.
Let's extend one more if they want us to talk about
yeah.
else.
No, for sure.
Okay.
I appreciate all that. If you guys have anything else that you guys kind of like want us to talk about, like before we officially wrap it up, like go ahead and say it. Drop it in the chat now. We'll do a quick run through on it, and we will honestly probably bring it into next week's episode.
Who's late to the gamer?
Identify yourself, late to the gamer.
You don't have to say your name. Just give me something.
Just give Alex some kind of clue. You don't have to expose yourself, but give him some kind of clue as to who you are.
Because there's been a couple people that have joined in that I'm so thankful for, because I always tried to be a nice person at Sherryland, and I met a lot of really nice people in high school, and I'm glad that they're still around.
Coke, yes, I am. You might have been dealing with the babies when we said so, but yes, I am in the military. I was a Marine Corps reservist, and then I made the transition to active duty Air Force. So I am currently active duty Air Force.
Oh, Catherine Wood. What's up, Catherine?
Oh, nice. Late to the gamers sus. Where were you? Tell us or we're voting you off, Gerber. Coke, you were in the Navy? That's dope. My little brother is actually currently in the Navy. He's actually getting ready. He's in the Navy now, but he's actually getting ready to go to officer school here in a couple months. So yeah. But yeah, this was a good time. I enjoyed this. It was a fun episode. This was really great. I enjoyed the hell out of this. And this is great. Like Alex and I enjoy the fuck out of coming to Sundays and doing this shit and talking with you guys week in and week out.
I legitimately look forward to this so much.
I do. Sundays are such a busy day for me, but I love coming in here and doing this.
I would not look forward to it as much if we didn't have the people here engaging in conversation, because it makes it this hour and 45.
It flew by tonight. Like if we were sitting here trying to do a pre-recorded podcast to put out like on YouTube tomorrow or something, it would be a lot less fun than this. But this is great. You were avionics for your Air Force equivalent. Oh, okay, I got you, Coke. I'm in ammo right now, but hopefully soon I'll be getting ready to get through the shit that I've got to get through and put in a package to go to officer school, and we'll see where that takes me. So that's super dope. Coke and I over here sharing a brotherly bond through military experience.
I was gonna make an insensitive joke, but I'm not going to.
Don't, because I'll punch you next time I see you. And I know for a damn fact I can take you.
I know. Jesus, by the time we're done, we're gonna have like a class reunion. I didn't even go to my class reunion, but we're gonna have a What in the World podcast Sherry class reunion. You aren't invited.
Badass. Good luck. Thank you, Coke. So yeah, this has been super fun. You guys don't have anything else for us. I will now, at the end of the video, which I should normally do at the beginning of the video for YouTube, but fuck them. If you guys, when you guys see this on YouTube, make sure to do the thing, man. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell notifications so
Like,
you know.
comment, subscribe, bro. Smash that like button, dude. Smash that like button. Comment, subscribe, all that cool shit. Tell your
All
mom,
that cool
tell your
shit.
dog, tell
Share
your mom's dogs, friends, and
share it.
shit.
Share it. But more importantly, fucking share this. We like the live interaction better anyway. So
Yeah,
share
this is
this.
where it's at.
Share this fucking link to whoever you know and whoever wants to fucking to come in here and chit chat with us on Sundays when we do this. But I'm done. Have a good night, y'all. All right, Jesus. But anyway, I love all you guys. This was a super great episode. Super great time. I look forward to doing this again next Sunday. We'll see what the week brings for us. But I wish you guys all the best for your week ahead. Stay safe, stay healthy. Be vigilant. Look out for each other, and keep searching for the truth, man.
I'm gonna get my mic real close because I mean this more than anything I've said on this podcast. I want each and every one of you to find someone that you love this week, and I want you to wrap your big old beer paws around them, and I want you to give them a big old hug. And if you're into smooching on the cheek, give them a smooch on the cheek and say, I fucking love you because you're a good fucking person. That's what I wish more than anything for anybody listening right now. One person, 5 people, 10 people. Find somebody you love. Tell them you love them. Tell them you appreciate them.
And just for disclaimer purposes, do it COVID safely. Anyway.
Yeah, and wash your hands.
And wash your hands.
Catherine brings up a good point.
Wash your hands, you filthy animals. Anyway, I love all you guys, and we will see you crazies next week, all right?
Pone donkeys, I take that as a challenge. I'm going to hug more people than you. I'll have numbers.
I want to have numbers next week, okay? All right. Bye, guys. Love all of you. See ya.
Love you guys. Be good.